So yeah, just coming onto your back. As you get there, maybe you want to hug your knees into your chest, just rock a little bit from side to side. So anything that's feeling good. And then you're going to just come into a mini little Shavasana, if that feels okay. A lot of times for some of us, that pulls on the lower back a little bit. So you also just might come into more of a constructive rest pose, feet wide, knees knocking in towards each other. Arms can be by the side here. Hands can be on your belly. One hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Cactus arms. Play around. See what feels good. See what's calling to you today. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth. Sigh the breath out. Let it go. Couple more times like that. And let's really focus on the expansion of the breath here as you inhale, fill up, and even pause at the top. Sip in a little more air. Let the breath go. 2 more times like that on your own. See if you can stretch out that pause at the top. See if you can stretch out that inhale. And once you've completed those 2 cycles of breath like that, go ahead and dip into your Ujjayi breath. So that inhale through your nose, that exhale through your nose. Again, just really kind of paying attention to the chest cavity, the sides of the body, how the breath feels, the expansiveness on the inhale, how everything contracts in as you exhale. And then those moments of stillness at the top of the breath and at the bottom of the breath. And just make sure that you're feeling really relaxed and sort of supported by the floor here. So sometimes the shoulders scrunch up around the ears. Maybe there's tension in your face, your jaw, you're clenching the fists, kind of gripping the toes. Let those places go. Good. Take a nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out. Ha. So if your legs are extended, bend your knees in, heel toe your feet to center if you're there. And then we're all going to press forward through our heels. So legs come to straight. We're going to stretch our arms up overhead. So arms about shoulder distance apart, maybe a little wider if you're tighter in your shoulders. Really direct your tailbone towards your heels as you stretch the sternum up and back. So just imagine that you're standing here. This is like a laying down or reclining Tadasana mountain pose. And then I want you to bring your right fingertips to your left wrist. Pull up on that side, get really long. And then you're going to inchworm your upper body off to the right. So keep the back side of your body pressing evenly. Start to inchworm your legs off to the right. Again, both those hip plates are pressing down into the mat underneath you. So if you start to pop up, you've gone too far in this little curve shape. Maybe you take that left ankle over the right ankle and you're going to get all kinds of sensation here in your lower back especially, but you might even be feeling this outer hip area. You might even be feeling this in the shoulders a little bit. And again, just finding that breath. Steady inhales, steady exhales, and maybe especially send the exhale to any places that feel a little tighter here, where things are a little more challenging, a little more constricted. So this is kind of like a little preview to the yin part coming in the second half of class. So those long held stretches, of course, we're going to warm up first before we go there, but this is a little taste. Go ahead and uncross your left ankle if you took that variation. So feet, inchworm back to center. Oh, and then inchworm your upper body back to center. And then you might have to like peek forward, make sure that you're nice and even. Release that wrist, stretch up, find your Tadasana, inner thighs spiral down as your tailbone lengthens forward towards your heels. And then we take this to the second side. So you're going to take your left fingertips to your right wrist, pull up. It's like you're getting longer on that side. And then you start to wiggle your upper body off to the left. You want to keep both shoulder blades pressing down here. You might not have to go very far before you feel a nice intense stretch. And then do the same things with your legs. Little inchworm. So you're making this banana shape, this little half moon shape. Maybe you take your right ankle over your left ankle. How does this side feel different in your body? Is it different? Noticing that. I say it often, but it bears repeating. This is really one of the gifts that our yoga practice gives us. This ability to pay attention, to tune in, to notice things. We like become scientists in our own body. And this is useful. This is how we can sleuth things out. This is how we can start to make little changes so that we feel better. Couple more good breaths here. Really enjoy how the rib cage expands on that inhale. Everything contracts in on the exhale. Good. And then if you have that right ankle crossed over your left, uncross. And then just inchworm your legs back to center. Upper body comes back to center. Stretch out here. And then let's go ahead and point our toes forward, which I think is like the most delicious stretch on the front of the leg. And then point the toes back up towards the ceiling. As we exhale, we release our arms by our side. Hug knees into chest. Little rock and roll side to side. And then your choice here, you're going to listen to how your spine is feeling. Some of us like the rock and roll up and down. If that's okay for you, you go there. Otherwise, you just roll off to one side. We're making our way to our tabletop position. Welcome, Susie. Happy Monday. We're going to move into our cat-cow. So landing with your shoulders over your wrists, fingers spread, they press evenly, knees under your hips, little engagement of your belly, and we're all really good at this. So go ahead and close your eyes here so you can get really internal. And then as you inhale, you arch into your lumbar. Chest comes forward through the gates of your shoulders. As you exhale, you press the mat away, round and back of the neck nice and long. And then you're finding your pace here. You're finding your vinyasa, your moving meditation, your rhythm. Let it feel really, really good. And you kind of just like want to breathe space, breathe this sense of ease into all of the kinks in your body. Maybe that means you need to even find a little more movement. So embrace that if that's where you're at today. Nice job. Couple more rounds like this. This is like morning coffee or vitamins. Vitamins with coffee. Good. All right, we're gonna inhale, come back to neutral spine. We're neither arching nor rounding. We're just gonna turn this into a little cat dog. So we're gonna find some extension, a little core engagement, little balance here. Keep your gaze an inch or two in front of your fingertips as you inhale. Right leg, left arm stretch. Keep those right toes pointing down, outer hips even, they squeeze in. Left shoulder blade releasing down. Exhale, release, and we're gonna continue like that. Inhale, left leg, right arm, toes pointing down. Exhale, release. So I want you to do 5 to each side, and I want you to find the pace that feels right to you today. So there's no rush. And maybe you play with closing your eyes here if you want to up the ante a little bit. It might kind of make things a little more challenging, the balance especially. And if that's not working, of course, you just keep your eyes open, gaze steady, soft and gentle, an inch or two in front of your fingertips. Nice little flow here. Beautiful work. So we're going to say the next time your right leg, left arm are lifted and extending, just stay here. Continue to breathe. Feel your shoulder blades squeeze in towards each other. Fire up that right thigh. It's really pressing towards the ceiling. And you can think of the front of the thigh pressing towards the back of the thigh. Feel the outer hip squeeze in. You might shake, you might fall, no big deal. Nice. Exhale, release. Inhale, left leg, right arm. That arm is plugging into the shoulder socket. Shoulder blades are squeezing in. Front of the left thigh presses towards the top of the left thigh. Top of the thigh is pressing towards the ceiling. Wrap that outer left hip down so hips are even. They're squeezing in. You feel supported. Nice work. Exhale, release. All right, let's walk our hands forward a couple of inches so you're giving yourself a little space for your downward facing dog. Curl your toes under. Keep that bend in your knees. With that bend in your knees, you can stretch those sit bones up towards the ceiling. You get lots of length through the sides of your waist. Release your head if you haven't already. So you're just gazing between your feet, which are hips distance apart. Your ears are lining up with your biceps. Stay up on those right toes. Melt your left heel back any amount. Beautiful, beautiful stretch in the backs of your leg. There's only one back in your leg, in the back of your leg. Back up to tippy toes and then melt that right heel back. How does it feel? And you could be getting this in a lot of places. Typically, you're going to feel this in the hamstring. I'm actually getting into the calf today. I did a big hike yesterday, so I'm guessing that's why. So it kind of feels nice. Just notice what sensation you're getting in your body. Just remember how that can change depending upon what we've done. Back up to tippy toes. Melt heels back. Deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth. Sigh the breath out. Ha. Nice and easy. Just walk your hands back to meet your feet. As you inhale, chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. As you exhale, fold in. Press down into your feet. Take your arms out and up, or they can reach forward and up if that feels better, if that is determined by the space that you're in. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. A few of these half sun salutes to the back of the mat. So feet hips distance apart is a really good place to be. Second and third toe point forward. If you are steady, bringing your toes a little closer together, you're welcome to do that. Again, second and third toe point forward. So we all have different shapes of our feet. That's just a good gauge so that you know that you're nicely aligned. Arms by your side, a little external rotation here. Palms are facing forward. Thumbs even kind of turning slightly behind you. Inhale, keep all this length. Hold on to it as you exhale through your nose. You dive on in. Be as graceful as you can. Inhale. Chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Hands might be on shins or thighs here, especially if you're tighter. As you exhale, release. Inhale. Hold onto the length as you rise up. Make sure that all the weight hasn't shifted into your heels so you feel really even and steady on those feet. Exhale, hands come together at your heart. 2 more on your own, moving with your breath. Maybe closing your eyes if you're really good at these. And as you know, this Ujjayi breath is nice because it builds some heat inside our body, particularly helpful when we know we're moving towards some long held stretches at the end of class. But equally as wonderful, if not more, is that the sound of this breath really gives us something to focus our mind on, our attention on. And frankly, it just sounds kind of lovely. It's very calming, quieting. It might even help you to feel connected. So after you've finished that second half sun salute, just come back to your Tadasana, mountain pose, and you're at the back of your mat here, standing nice and tall. Inhale, stretching arms out and up. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, just extends forward, gaze comes forward. Keep looking forward. Let's lead with our right hand. Slowly walk out into your downward facing dog. Keep your sit bones stretching up. Keep your heels pressing back. They're going to lift up at some point. That's absolutely fine. As you inhale, hips stay even. Lift your right leg. Exhale, step that right foot through between your hands. Land on your left knee. Hands up to that right thigh. Direct your tailbone down. Right hip back, left hip forward. Inhale, arms reach up. Good. And then bring your palms to face forward. Make fists like you're moving through molasses. Engage the muscles, muscle firms to bone. Exhale, pull down. Feel the elbows squeeze in towards each other behind you. Inhale, press up. Exhale, pull down. So little pectoral opening here. Pressing up. Exhale, pull down. Good. Inhale, press up, release hands, palms press, gaze up. And then let's go ahead and plant down into this left hand. So shoulder over wrist, start to open up. So just an easy little twist here. Shoulder blades stack on top of each other. Sometimes this right knee likes to wing off to the side. Squeeze it in, press to the inner edge of that foot. Wrap this lowermost left rib up towards the ceiling, maybe gaze up. Maybe that doesn't feel good, so you simply look down or forward. Again, always adjusting. This is this really fluid thing, our yoga practice. It doesn't look the same, even though we're doing a lot of the same poses. There's always these little subtle differences. Deep inhale. As you exhale, you unwind here. So palms plant on either side of that right foot. Curl your left toes under. Okay. So that leg is in plank. Keep your gaze forward. See if you can keep your hips this low as you step your right foot back. So you're in your plank pose. Yeah, you got it, Annette. All right. Shift forward here. Lower to knees. As you exhale, elbows squeeze in. Elbows bend an inch to no more than half. So I don't want you coming down here. All right. Inhale, press up. So little mini chaturanga. Exhale, lower. And it's deceptive. So this is actually a lot of work. I did my chaturangas like this probably for a year or two when I first started yoga, just to build strength. Inhale up. So it's not cheating. Exhale, lower, hover, gaze forward, smile, because it hurts so good for a Monday. And then land on your belly. See, the great thing when I say dumb jokes like that, when you're at home, you can just curse me out and I have no idea. All right, we're gonna reach our arms by our side, palms spaced in towards each other, shoulder heads are lifting, come to your forehead. Really press evenly into all 10 toenails. Feel the glutes engage. Keep that anchoring feeling down in your hip bones, your pubic bone. As you inhale, head, chest, extend forward and up. And then arms might lift up off the mat. A little more if you're a little more open in your shoulders. So the higher the lift, the more stretch you're gonna get there. They might not be very high at all, especially if you're a guy with bulkier muscles. This is going to be really intense. You could also be holding onto a strap here that will help you. Deep inhale. Exhale, lower down. Let's do one more like that. This time you have the option to lift your legs up. So if you're going to go there, I want you to go ahead and bring your big toes together, and I want you to keep them glued together. And you can try this, and if it doesn't feel good, you just come back down. All right, so here we go. Nice deep inhale. Full complete exhale. Inhale. Everything lifts potentially. You might not be doing that. You can try it. And if it feels super grippy in your lower back, you just place your feet back down. And then see, what does it feel easier to lift in your body? The lower part, the upper part? Try to lift really evenly. So good for developing strength in these back muscles, especially the lower back muscles. One more deep inhale. Exhale, release down. Fingertips underneath your shoulder heads. Same work in the legs as you inhale, chest extends forward and up. So we're not really pressing into our hands here, even though the palms are facing down. Curl toes under. Or I'm sorry, come to tabletop, curl toes under. Downward facing dog. I missed a key piece there. All right. And we're going to start to walk our hands back to meet our feet. Again, just lead with that right hand. Inhale, chest extends forward. Exhale, fold. Rooting down, weight evenly distributed in your feet. Stretch arms out and up. And as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Inhaling, reaching. As you exhale, hinge forward, fold in. Inhale, chest lengthens forward, so feel the weight in your heels. Try to hold on to that as long as you can. Lead with your left hand, walking yourself out into your downward facing dog. Releasing the ears between your biceps, inner arm. Inhale, left leg lifts, hips stay even. As you exhale, step that foot through, land on your right knee. Hands up to that left thigh, tailbone directs down, sternum reaches up. As we inhale, arms reach up, Anjali Asana. Spin your palms to face forward, make fists. All right, here we go. Outer hip squeeze in. Muscles in the arms especially firm to bone. Exhaling, pulling down. Oh yeah. Inhale up. So it's kind of like you're just trying to give yourself a little resistance. You could actually be doing this with real life, actual weights if you have these at home. Inhaling, pressing up. Feeling this openness again across the front of the body, the chest. Exhale, pull down. Here we go. Inhale, press up. Release the fist, palms face towards each other. Maybe press, gaze up. And then we find that twist. So as we exhale, we plant right hand to the inside of that left foot. Wrist should be underneath the shoulder. You could always have your hand on a block here. And just nice and gentle today. So we're not curling these back toes under. Shoulder blades are stacking on top of each other. And even feel that right shoulder blade releasing down. So it can even kind of, come up to the ear here. Don't go in that direction. And it press to the inner edge of your left foot. So this side of your body is squeezing in. Maybe bringing your gaze up. Maybe just looking forward or down if that feels better. This side could be different. Nice deep inhale. As we exhale, we unwind, curl your right toes under, firm that thigh up, that leg is in plank. You're gazing forward, you're staying nice and long. See if you can stay this low and sneak your left foot back. That's a hard move actually. So if it's not perfect, hey, it's one of those ones that takes practice. All right, so let's lower to our knees again. Maybe shift forward a little bit. Toes can be flat or you can have them curled under. To the count of 5, we pass through our Chaturanga. So elbow squeeze in, gaze forward. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. Tops of the feet pressed. Elbow squeeze. As you inhale, chest extends forward and up. Exhale, lower. Inhaling up. Exhale, lower. Inhale up, hold here. Feel all of that work happening in your spine. Exhale, press to tabletop. Curl toes under, shift hips up. Downward facing dog. Lead with your left hand. Start to walk your hands back to meet your feet. Inhale, chest extends forward. Exhale, fold in. Press into your feet. Feel those arches lift so much that they carry your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. And it's nice and easy. Walk to the top of your mat. We just have 2 full sun salutes. Let's build a little more heat before we move into the yin part of our practice. So here we go. You can skip the Chaturanga portion. I'm going to keep it simple today. We're just going to use our knees. If you want to do full Chaturanga from your plank pose, you're welcome to do that. So arms by your side. As you inhale, arms reach out and up. As you exhale, gracefully fold in. Inhale, lengthen. So gaze stays forward, bend knees, plant palms, right foot back. Then left, take an inhale. Exhale, lower halfway, pause. Onto your belly. Tops of the feet pressed, inhale, low cobra. Exhale, tabletop, carries you through to your downward facing dog. Inhale, little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes. Options, you walk forward, you step right then left. Maybe you hop both feet through. Nice, Annette. As you inhale, chest lengthens. Exhale, fold in. Pressing into your feet, stretching arms out and up. As you exhale, hands come together at your heart. One more. Inhaling, reaching. Exhale, fold in. Good, inhale. Chest extends forward, gaze comes forward. Bend your knees, plant your palms, left foot back, then right. Inhale here, plank pose. Shift forward on toes, lower to knees, elbows bent to halfway, pause, a distinct pose, and then onto your belly. Inhale, low cobra, elbows squeeze in towards each other. Press to tabletop, curl your toes under, downward facing dog. Inhale, little bend in your knees, come to your tippy toes, peek where you're going, walk forward, step left and right, hop through. Inhale, lengthen. Good, exhale, fold in. And then press down into your feet. Stretch arms out and up. Good, as you exhale, hands come together at your heart. Good, nice deep inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out. Ha. All right, so let's move into some stretchy here. I want to come into supine Baddha Konasana. So you're like, Baddha what? So I'm gonna give you a couple of options. So we're gonna be laying down, we're gonna be getting into the groin, into the hips a little bit. So, as you know, kind of just depends on how flexible you are here. So we're gonna use different proppage. So you might just be classic in this pose. Soles of the feet together, laying down. This can be intense for many of us. So blocks underneath the thighs can be a really lovely variation. If you are interested in turning this into a thoracic opener and kind of getting a deeper stretch in your legs, I'm going to show a couple of other options here too. So you could either lay over a rolled up blanket. I'm going to use a block to demo this starting out. And if you know where you want to be and what we're doing, you just go there. Otherwise, you can just watch for a moment. So I'm going to lay over this block here. So it's hitting the bottom of my bra strap. So the shoulder blades are releasing over the block. You might need another block for your head. All right. And then I'm going to take the legs on top of something that gives you a little more stretch in the thigh. Again, you could have blocks to support you underneath. So this would be an option as well. And like I said, maybe the block situation feels a little intense, but you would like that thoracic opener. So rolled up blanket, you can vary the thickness so you have a little more control over how much stretch is there. And we're gonna be here for a nice long hold today. We're gonna do about 4 minutes here, and you're gonna get a little extra if you're already in this. So enjoy that. I'm gonna set the timer. So as you come in to this pose, you are more than welcome to let go of your Ujjayi breath. However, if you're finding that that breath is helpful, keep using it. Maybe slow it down. Maybe even count your inhale, 7 or 8, little pause at the top. And then same as you exhale, little pause at the bottom. If you're not digging the Ujjayi breath here, continue to inhale and exhale through your nose. It just won't have that same effort. And then as you come into this pose, notice if you've started to grip anywhere. So you might feel that in the inner thigh. Again, shoulders are kind of a classic place. Face and jaw, clenching toes, fingers. So really release. And even try to release the muscles here. So as we come into these yin stretches, we're actually trying to get a deeper stretch in the joints, in the ligaments, and in the fascia. So kind of these, it's a little more subtle. So we're not engaging the muscles. We're trying to take the muscles out of the equation to a certain extent, but we're stretching into these deeper places, and it can be really, really intense sometimes. So sometimes you need more proppage, or you actually even need to come out of a pose. I want you to honor that. Sometimes as we let go of those places that we're kind of tightening or gripping and settle into these yin stretches, sometimes we start to get this really, really nice release, and it starts to feel like we can go a little deeper. So definitely a different feel here than we have in our vinyasa flow practice. And they're both good, they're just different. In some ways, I actually find this yin practice to be a lot more challenging. It's hard to be still in poses. It's hard to be still. We're kind of conditioned to be doing things all the time, checking things off the to-do list. So this can be hard. And unlike restorative, where it's a little more relaxing and a little more restful, there is actually a lot of effort here. And there's for sure sensation. And we do want some sensation, but we want to be really mindful that we're not going past the point where it feels injurious. So you have to get really smart. Again, you have to be a little scientist here in your own body. You always come out of any pose if the hold is too long for you, if it's just not feeling right today, or you adjust with more props, less props. Okay, and we've got like another, 7 or 8 really good breaths. Maybe less if you're really stretching your breath out, as James Nestor recommends in his book, Breathe. All right, so nice deep inhale here. Full complete exhale. Maybe even let the breath come out of your mouth. Ha. All right, so coming out of this, if you're on a block or on the roll up here, you're gonna kind of gauge it. It might feel better to press into your forearms, kind of slide the block out, and then you can bring your hands to the outside of your knees. Maybe you need to bring your hands to the outside of your knees first, and then take the feet down and roll off your bolster, your block to one side to find that. And then let's just come onto that right side. Just find the fetal position for a breath or two here. Good, and then you're gonna use your hands to press up, and we're gonna move into our next little pose here. And again, I'm gonna give you a couple of options. So you might actually end up on your back. So we're gonna get into the hips here. Going to come into our sleeping swan pose with the option to put a little twist in that as well. So let me just demo that. You can just watch this. If you know the pose and you're ready to go there right away, by all means do so. So we're going to come to a tabletop and we're going to take our right knee forward and then we're going to start to slide that left knee back. So it is like it is coming into a one-legged cobra pose. So I find with this longer hold, I like to have this right heel really close to this left hip. And then I can direct both hips down. You might be needing a little support underneath that right booty. So that's really nice blanket there. And then you can start to make your way in any amount. Few minutes here. So start out high and then come lower. You eventually might be resting your head on something. You could even, if you have a bolster, a cushion from the couch, rest there. If this is just too intense in the body today, not your thing, you are on your back, coming into your reclining pigeon. So crossing right ankle above left knee. You can take your right hand into this right thigh, press it forward. Maybe you stay here like this. Maybe you bend the knee, left knee in, and interlace fingers either around that thigh or shin. So find the spot. This can be so intense. We've got a few minutes here. So do less starting out, back out a little bit, and then try to find that place where you're softening and releasing in. And then maybe you go a little further from there, and maybe you don't. Maybe that's the place where you need to be today, doing less. And keep returning to your breath. Again, I think that this yin stuff is really, really challenging. And of course, challenges are fun, but they're also just challenging. How's that for deep? So do make little adjustments. And do know that if the chatter is kicking up in your brain, specifically in regards to how things are feeling in your body, you're normal. That happens. Smile at it. Let it go. And, maybe get curious about these sensations. Kind of memorize this side, and we're going to observe how it feels differently on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to give you an option here for the last, we've got a little more than a minute here, or a little more than halfway through. So if you're in pretty deep and this is feeling pretty comfortable in your body, you can reach out through that right palm, and then you're going to thread this left shoulder underneath. And then maybe you come to laying down on that ear, or a little proppage, blanket, or a block. You can stay here like this. Maybe you take that right arm up, externally rotate, and then you might be able to grab your right toes with that left hand, and then you get a little shoulder opening here as well. If you're on your back and you want to find a little twist, if your knee is squeezed in, if that left knee is squeezed into your chest, just release that foot down, arms out in a T shape, and then just fall to the outer edge of that left foot, stamp that right foot down, gazing straight up or out over those right fingertips. And it just takes, it's a little different, kind of a fun place to go if you're wanting that twisting action. Good, let's say a couple more nice, smooth, deep breaths here. If you made your way into the twist, you're going to start to make your way out. And if you are upright, Just go ahead and maybe take a breath or two here. Come onto your fingertips. So you got those spidey fingers. Shoulder heads press back. Shoulder blades release towards your tailbone. This is like a up dog in the upper body. Good. And then we are going to move. We're going to transition to our second side. So no pretty way to get out of this, however you want to get there. If you're on your back, you're going to take your left ankle above your right knee. Good. And then left foot comes forward here. Start to slide that right knee back. Again, maybe a little proppage underneath this left cheek. All right. And then you're getting curious about how this side feels different. You make your way in any amount. If you're on your back, you can start to hug that right knee into your chest. Maybe that foot stays on the floor. We've got a few minutes here. And knowing that we have a few minutes, I think it's kind of incentive to move slower. So taking your time getting into this pose, you don't have to go for like the peak of the pose right at the get-go. In fact, you don't want to. It'll just be too hard to sustain. So you're moving in slowly and you're letting things give a little bit. You're letting things release. Maybe you're simply releasing the idea that you need to go any further at all. That's the hardest thing to give up. But truly, less is more. If you've lost that thread of your breath, find it again. How is this side different? How might you need to adjust? All right, and then if you wanted to start to move this in towards a twist again, you're welcome to do that. So if you're upright, you're gonna root down into that left palm, thread that right arm underneath, maybe come to that shoulder and ear, or you could be up on a prop. So you could just stay here like this. It's really nice, and it just shifts where you're getting the stretch. Maybe you extend this left arm up, externally rotate around. See if you can grab a piece of shirt. Maybe you can get your toes if you have monkey arms like I do. Then you can lean the shoulder head back a little bit. So you're getting a little heart and chest opening. And of course, if you are on your back, if the right knee is squeezed in, just place that foot down on the mat. And then you're gonna roll to the left side, arms in a T shape. And this can just feel really nice here. And maybe you're just skipping it all together. Maybe you remain just in the standard kind of classic version of this sleeping swan pose or the reclining swan if you're on your back. Couple more good breaths. All right, so if you're upright and pretzeled here, just make your way out. Again, maybe you come up to your fingertips, find a little of that up dog feeling in your upper body as you lengthen back through those right toes. Good, and then we're just gonna make our way out here. And I want to open up the fronts of the legs a little bit. So we're gonna come into another, I'm gonna give you a couple of options here. Again, you can just watch this, check it out. So option number one is our supported bridge pose. You could be doing this with a block, couple of blocks. If you have a couple of blocks, it can be really nice to stack them this direction. So it just feels like you have a little more support. You can also be using a bolster underneath your sacrum. The easiest way typically to come into this is to come onto your back, press into your feet. You might have to come up to tippy toes, and then you slide that proppage or that those blocks or block underneath your sacrum. So we don't want the blocks too high. We don't want them in our lumbar. It will feel really uncomfortable, like not fun at all. Should be getting a little stretch in the hip flexors. You would have the option, if you wanted, to extend your legs to straight too. That will intensify it. I think for the hold that we're doing, I would stay here for a couple of minutes and then maybe play with that. And I'll cue you when we're getting into the last minute of this pose. So option one, if you would like to go a little bit deeper here, we're going to come into a version of our saddle pose. So if you have a bolster, or you could stack a couple of blankets on top of each other, a cushion from the couch, that will work. And I'm actually going to take another blanket on top just to give myself a little height. So I'm going to take my toes up against what I'm going to be laying back down. And so I'm sitting on my heels. And I'm going to take my knees a little bit wider. And then I'm going to start to lay back. So you're going to kind of gauge this. The tighter you are, the higher you're going to want to be. If you're feeling a little more open in the fronts of the legs, maybe there's a little less. Your knees might lift a little bit. As long as it doesn't feel like you're getting bad sensation in your lower back, you can stay there. And maybe things start to open up and melt in. So those are the two options: bridge pose or this version of saddle pose. Saddle pose especially, be really mindful. We're going to do about 3.5 more minutes here. So especially if you're in this saddle pose, if it feels like you need to come out at any point, please do so. This can be super intense on the knees. It's kind of a nice stretch, but again, there's always that fine line between getting that sensation and then just pushing it a little bit too far. We want to be doing this for many decades to come. We do this so that we can be doing this for many decades to come, but we have to practice smart. We don't always have to be going for it. A little less is a lot more. If you are actually either variation that you're in, sometimes it can feel nice to reach the arms up overhead and then just clasp elbows. That'll just give you a little opening, a little stretch across your heart and chest. If you've lost that rhythm of your breath, come back to it. Both of these poses are beautiful, beautiful spaces to feel the breath, the inhale, the expansiveness of it, how it's moving in our body. Are you gripping anywhere? Is there tension in your face and jaw? Soften there. The good news is that 4 minutes isn't forever, and we're way more than halfway there. And then, as mentioned, if you are in your bridge pose and you want to start to extend your legs to straight, you're welcome to do so. I actually think it feels nice to engage the legs a little bit. So you're pointing the toes up towards the ceiling, just give you a little support. You also might find that if you are on the double blocks, or if you're on the highest level of the block, it might feel better to remove one of those blocks or switch to the medium side. you might feel a little more stable and supported there. So you can move in that direction. You got a few more good breaths here. Keep up the good work. All right, so if your legs are extended, just start to bring them back into your bridge pose. You're gonna press into your feet, lift your hips up off the block, and then lower yourself down. Take your feet as wide as your mat, start to windshield wiper the legs back and forth, just release the back. If you're in your saddle pose, we're gonna move really, really slow here. So this is intense to get out of. Take your time. So pressing down into hands, lead with your heart. Oh, sigh of relief. All right, so we're gonna wanna counter this. If you're on your back after windshield wiping your legs out, I don't know why that's such a mouthful to say, squeeze your knees into your chest. If you're in your saddle pose here, I'm gonna suggest that you come up to your tabletop and then just take some very, very, very gentle cat-cow. Especially emphasize this cat stretch. Is going to feel this nice little counter to that deep, deep back bend that we had. Good. And then we're all going to eventually meet on our backs. We're going to find a nice little happy baby. All right, so either grabbing your thighs, gently pulling down, knees a little wider than hips distance apart. Maybe you can grab the outer edges of your feet and pull down. Ooh, it might even feel nice to rock back and forth a little bit here. And we did it. We earned our Monday Shavasana. So you move in that direction, whatever it looks like. Maybe it's classic. Feet a little wider than hips distance apart, arms a little wider than shoulders distance apart. You can kind of snuggle those shoulders underneath you, eyes closed. If this doesn't feel good, support underneath your knees or bend the knees, feet wide, allow the knees to knock in towards each other. And we soak up these final few moments. There's no more effort, there's only relaxing. Shavasana. Nice, deep inhale here. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out, let it go, ha. Bring some gentle movement back to your body, wiggle fingers, toes, stretch arms up overhead. And then staying soft and quiet, you're gonna roll to one side or the other, just finding the fetal position. As you feel ready, you use your hands to help you press up to a comfortable seat. And you check in, you notice how you feel here. So what's shifted for you in this past hour? Is there more space, more ease in your body? Is the breath a little more spacious, a little easier? Hopefully the headspace is quieted a little bit. You're feeling a little more focused, maybe a little joy. Send yourself so much love for showing up and working hard. That's always the most challenging part. It does make a difference when we do it though. So just promise yourself that you're going to carry this good feeling you've created with you into the rest of your day ahead. Bring your palms together at your heart. Bow your head with a smile. Beautiful work today, yogis. So good to see all of you. Thank you. Namaste.